Hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it, so welcome back to the channel. And today's video is sponsored by PUBG Mobile. Now that's a wonderful thing because this is a concept video that I've had for a while and I'm finally here and presenting it to you guys. It's a two-part series and it's with the senior community manager from PUBG Mobile, Ocho. And he talks to the developers, he talks to the players, he runs the Twitter account, the Instagram account, he goes to the events, he's the fulcrum around which PUBG Mobile flows. Maybe that's a bit much, but regardless. Now, this video is really cool. There's two parts to it. We're going way in depth. If there's anything that you want to have covered off on specifically, leave a mention in the comments below, and Ocho has consented to possibly doing a third video where we can cover off on you, the community's request. We're going to start off with a little chat about hardcore mode, and I'm going to put it over the top of some of the gameplay. We played a lot of games. This is the last game, and it was a whole lot of fun. And I want to thank him from the very bottom of my little cotton socks because, honest to God, this is his own time. This isn't work time. This is when he's at home with the wife and kids. Go, Ocho. Hardcore mode. Are there any plans that you know of to bring hardcore mode back in any form?
So I really appreciate the hardcore supporters. You know, they are, in a word, pretty hardcore about it, and they let us know. So that's actually good. It's good that they're speaking up. It's good that they keep it on our radar. We have to balance, you know, a lot of different modes in the game. I think it's a possibility it could come back probably more as an event type thing rather than a full-time mode. You know, but making sure that we don't spread players out too much or in too many different ways. Finding ways to keep people doing the same thing so queue times stay low, even with, you know, all the players in the world, because we have all of them. Each match takes a while, you know, and so we have to make sure that we're making the best possible experience. And sometimes that means even if we'd say, oh, yeah, hardcore mode would be super fun, you know, is that going to be overall a good experience?
I always wanted to put hardcore mode in the first person FPP solos, which would drag people into that queue and make it tenable. FPP for me is my favorite mode of the game, but obviously, unlike the PC variant, FPP in PC seems to be a lot more popular. Is that just a device-driven thing, do you think?
You know, some of it might be device-related. Certainly, I think that, you know, you're going to have different behaviors. We notice different behaviors in regions. In some places in the world, FPP is more popular than it is in others. So, you know, there's some cultural things, you know, just the way players evolve. But really, I think it's, you know, especially with the competitive scene being very driven, you know, in third-person mode, that's really what people have said they want. They want to play third-person mode. And ultimately, they decide. Other people decide how fast the queues are, not us. What I see it is it's a lot more punishing. You play a lot of FPP. You can't do some of the same tricks. You can't, you know, look over ledges and around windows and stuff like that.
Well, that's why I play FPP because it rewards aggression rather than the other way around.
But you know, it's a different play style. People enjoy being able to, you know, play a little bit less aggressively, a little bit more thinking man, you know, a little bit slower paced gameplay. And that seems to be what the audience wants. And so that's what they queue for.
What happens when I don't like what the audience wants? How do you cater to me?
You need to convince people. So fortunately, you have a fairly big microphone. You are an influencer. You know, I
like it. Yeah,
like your content. I like your content.
Oh, that's it. You had me at hello, but now I'll take you to meet my mother. One
of our marketing managers just like every time we talk about like, hey, who should we invite to this event? He's like, how about we invite the Bushka?
Oh, that's what I want to hear. More of that marketing manager guy.
But anyways, so you have a voice. Share people why people should love it. You know, convince people. Creating content, creating community around it, you know, is going to have to come from you guys. Now, we are looking at some ways we can help out. That is something that's important to us. You know, we had a survey about it on the Reddit, you know, because some of those changes we talked about are going to make an impact. But we have to know, you know, sort of what is the trade-offs, you know, that people are more willing to make than others. So the dev team, they read Reddit every single day. They're listening in the Discord. They're very involved. They're not talking, but they're listening. And so every so often they're like, go, Eric, go tell them this. Go talk to them about that. What do they think about this, Ocho? And so I do things like surveys, or I go out and post, or ask people questions. And that helps us. We also have different ways of getting information. Like we do focus groups, where we recently had one involving some very high-ranked players to understand, what is the high-ranked player experience and how is that qualitatively different? What are the things that exclusively high-ranking players have? And so we did more in-depth interviews to really understand that experience specifically, because when you're involved in the creation of a product, even on sort of the outside, like I am, where I advise and I talk to them, but I'm not, directly like saying we should do this or we should do that. I'm like, well, players like this and players might like that, and players have asked for this. We can never have a fully objective view. So getting your guys' feedback and understanding what your guys' feedback is really important.
Is there anything that you've been surprised by? Like, I guess the sheer volume of the game would have to have been startling for us, at first glance as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 100 million people logging in every month is madness. I mean, I can't even, begin to understand it. So I did a survey about a UI change in beta, right? So I dropped the survey out, and I post it on Reddit and Discord, which there are big channels, but they're not crazy huge. So I posted the survey out, and I'm like, okay, I'll let it run for a week or so, and we'll get, a couple thousand responses. In the first 24 hours, we had 30,000 responses. People are excited to share their opinions. People are super passionate. This is a mobile game, so, I'm used to seeing in mobile games things like, oh, yeah, people play 7 minutes at a time. That's like a pretty normal mobile standard.
The other thing that I think people really, now this is just me, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but the scope of the game makes even little things like bug fixes completely, it's just a whole different level.
So think about it this way, right? So let's say that a bug happens to 1 in every 10,000 players, right? And 1 of every 100 of those posts on social media. We still have hundreds, if not thousands, of posts a day. I don't want to do math too much. I have to do that later with my daughter, helping her with homework. So anything that goes wrong is instantly magnified in terms of volume. It's, oh man, there's just tons of bugs in the game. And they're bugs. I mean, it's software. Game development is not a simple process. We're supporting a crazy number of devices. In the last update, we accidentally broke iPod support. Did you know iPods are still a thing?
iPads, that's all I run, man. Come on, give me a break.
No. Pod.
iPods?
Yes, iPod Touch 6 and 7 we accidentally broke in our last update.
Hang on, wait. Wind that back. What do you mean iPod Touch?
iPod Touch
are they still used?
6 and 7.
Holy hell.
So we've actually hot fixed this. iPod users, you could go back to playing.
Wow, color me surprised.
We got hundreds of comments on social media about the iPod being broken. And finally, I'm like, what type of device is this? I think it was an iPod 6. And the game runs on an iPod 6.
Even something like that, it's massive. There's so many people involved in it.
If somebody gets a hold of a cheat, first off, you got to think that one person who gets a hold of a cheat impacts, 100 people. If it takes us, two matches to, detect that cheater and ban them, and we do it really quick for most of them, it is, still impacted hundreds of people who all have an opportunity to catch them and post it up on social media. And so, we're pretty good at catching hackers, especially, the average cheater. But it gets going really quick out there. And so, it's one of those things where every issue we do just is magnified because there's so many people interested. There's so many people watching. There's so many people talking about. And that's an awesome, awesome issue to have.
It's such a tough thing to police, not just the hacking, but everything, exploits, bugs. Like, give me an idea on the size of the team that you're running over there.
So the development team itself, and there's multiple components, but this is just one of the core development teams is hundreds of people, right? We support something like 17 languages. Each of those languages has many people on their team. Customer service. Let's say one person in 1,000 every day runs into some issue where they feel the need to contact customer service, right? That's going to add up really, really quick, and so it presents unique issues that, there's not easy solutions for. Even the automated solutions, don't entirely scale to this level. So we're really, in a lot of sense, trailblazing. How do you deal with customer bases of this size?
Do you guys feel like there is a real tough balance between what's in the game and the actual, say, for instance, how much your client can handle versus the actual player base? Like, there's got to be a point there where you worry about there's a tipping point where there's a lot of people who can't manage, say, Erangel 2.0 on their devices.
So, I mean, that's a big deal for us, right? We have PUBG Mobile Lite, which is really optimized to run on phones. We might have seen come out, say, 6-7 years ago. PUBG Mobile runs on an iPhone 6 really well. iPhone 5S, it runs acceptably.
So you really have to manage the devices, don't you? You have to come up with a client that will run to the greatest, most broad range of average devices. What's an average device?
It's not, the average phone is an iPhone 10, or an iPhone 8. And so we have to think about these things. But what I will say is that the PUBG Mobile team is quite possibly one of the best teams in the world when it comes to developing Unreal 4 for the phone. It is absolutely amazing the level of performance they have wrung out of this game on such a variety of devices, how clean the engine is. I mean, you blow this game up at 1080p, and it looks like a PC game. Maybe not the latest PC hardware.
Yeah, I did a video a couple of weeks back that I think you gave a retweet to where I played it at absolutely maxed out everything on Sanok in an FPP game with shadows and anti-aliasing and everything top to bottom turned on, and it looked amazing. And the video, even compressed by YouTube, it still looks glorious.
No, it is stunning what they have managed to wring out of this hardware. It's always a balancing act. How do we address the needs of the broad base of users? How do we address the needs of the early adopters, the people who are running the latest and greatest $1,600 Samsung phone? My boss was talking to me today about some of the advantages for 5G. For PUBG Mobile and things like, updates and stuff are going to be so much easier on 5G. And I'm just like, wow, yeah, that's totally awesome. But at the same time, we also have to think about, when I was in China at HQ, most of the time I was on a, 3 or 4G connection, How do we balance that?
Well, I think a lot of people mistake, like they get things like desync happening with their game. And I don't think people understand that is just the nature of the beast.
Well, and not just that, it's this one packet out of 100 happened to hit some bad traffic, and it's a packet that we really need to resolve because it has really critical information about what's going on. So, it's these sort of things that, we have to educate users about. In a thread on Reddit a while back, I was talking to somebody about this issue was caused by a packet issue. They were experiencing. It was they dropped in a parachute, and it caused some. They had some latency, and they hit the ground and they kept sliding. And that's an issue that occurs when the client and the server stop communicating correctly for whatever reason, and we have to do a better job of educating people why certain issues are happening, how to diagnose, because ultimately it doesn't matter why the issue is, it's still their experience of our game. And it's one of those things where I never want to say, poor us, we have to deal with these issues. These are great challenges to have. We have a community that loves to tell us what they want. And sometimes, they're a little bit rough about it, but they're rough because they care. They're mad when we don't do what they want because they love the game and they truly care about the game. So these are all great situations, and I'm really happy. But that doesn't make our job any easier.
Well, there's a lot more to come in Section 2, Part 2 of this one. So that'll be dropping on the channel in the next couple of days. If you have anything specifically you want to talk about, interesting issues to do with PUBG Mobile, leave a comment below. I'll go through them. And if I get time, and Ocho, more if Ocho gets the time, we'll sit down and we'll have another one of these play together sessions where we actually get through the nitty gritty that you guys are really interested in. So look out for episode 2 that'll be coming out sometime this week. And until next time, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.